Hi everybody, it's Julie, and I just wanted to say welcome to the course notes for Oops Too Awesome Week 2. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know if there's any feedback and extra things you would like me to put in the notes and in the supported videos. So I'm not going to edit this down. I'm going to leave it purely as a full recording of the class, so we don't miss any kind of little snippets. But your feedback is really important. So let's get going. So welcome. I am excited to see what you brought to the room today with regards to the homework, the complementary colors, the paintings that you were going to research in complementary colors. And I have a huge one I'm going to take off the wall in a minute and show you. And then we are going to paint a simple landscape that we are going to design ourselves individually and turn it into a limited palette landscape, only using 2 colors and white with different color schemes. But I like to give you a bit of theory, and then the second week we get to play. And this is definitely a play. So one of the things we talked about, I'm just going to put this down because it's really big, as you can see. One of the things we talked about last week was possibly bringing a favorite photograph, which I will help you turn into a thumbnail sketch and into a design. So first of all, I'd like you to show me if you have explored any paintings that you love that are based on complementary colors. Then we'll take it in turns to share. And then I'd like to see any photographs or designs that you would like to do for today. And if life got busy and you haven't had time to do the homework, then you can just follow along with me and follow along with my sketch. So there's no rules here. We're all just here to have fun, right? Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a painting I did at art school, and it was when I was studying color theory, and we were tasked with exactly what I'm giving you to do today, is come up with either an imaginary place or something based on a place we visited, or a favorite painting, but really just focusing on shapes. And the idea is we pick 2 colors and only mix them with each other, all black and white. So I chose purple. This painting was based on a photograph I took when I visited Nevada. And it was funny, we were staying in a hotel, and the whole time we were there it rained, and I know Nevada doesn't rain very often, and it was only on the last day that the clouds parted, and I didn't realize I had a magnificent view of the mountains, but it had been so misty and cloudy I didn't even know the mountains were there until the last day. So this was a quick picture I snapped and turned into a painting. Because I love Lauren Harris, I really stylized it. So I hardly ever paint mountains like this, kind of little pointy pyramids. I normally like to put a lot of gradients in, but I just really wanted to exaggerate simple, clean shapes, and focus more on the shapes than the construction. So as you can see, I started with, always start at the back. So started with my sky, and my sky was a lot of white, and I used a purple for the sky, but tinted it with yellow. So it was white with, I toned yellow and purple together to get this kind of lavender color, and then added a lot of white. So that's tinting, when you tint white and add just a little bit of a color. And then the same for the clouds. Then I worked forwards, and again, very muted. This is still purple with yellow and still a fair bit of white, but less white than the sky, bringing it forward. And I just decided on 4 shapes here. Obviously these 2 are the same, mustardy yellow, white highlights here, and then I brought it forward. So again, just working forwards, and each time I come forwards, there's more color saturation, so less white. So this mountain is still purple and yellow. It's still a pure purple. So I'm still not bringing in any black at this point. And this is still pure yellow. It's just a little bit richer. This is where I put black with yellow. So this was, remember tint, tone, shade, and shade is when you add black to a color, and tint is when you add white to a color. So this was adding black to the purple. So it's just kind of a nice example of tint, tone, and shade. So tone is when you mix either gray, so black and white, with a color, or you mix it with its opposite. So tone is when you mix a color with its opposite, or you mix gray with it. Tint is adding white, shade is adding black. So this was all in the notes from last term, which I can share with you. And I'll also cut and paste a little chunk of that into this week's notes. So for those who did tint, tone, and shade with me last term, then this is just the tint, tone, and shade, but working with complementaries as well. So any questions with regards to this as a painting before I show you the thumbnail that goes with this?
So are we making purple?
You're going to choose, we're going to create a design first,
okay,
and then we're going to choose 2 complementary colors, and it can be any 2 colors that are opposite on the color wheel. So I'm going to draw up the color wheel from the notes. So give me a minute while I just load the notes.
Yeah.
Okay, give me a second.
So all our paintings will look different depending on what we choose.
All be different, unless you all want to do yellow and purple. I want to give you a bit of freedom today. So I'm just going to bring up the color wheel, and I will be adding the color wheel into your notes this week. So can you see the color wheel?
Yeah.
So you can choose any 2 colors that are equal distance on the color wheel. So if you can see that I did, can you see if I draw a line? This is orange yellow. This is a pure yellow. So this is orange yellow, and I went directly across. So see directly across here. So I used orange yellow, and then I used blue purple for that painting. Can you see those 2 colors?
Yeah.
Opposite. Jane was showing us the picture of the lovely tree and the sky. So I would say that's a yellow orange. It's slightly more towards the orange red side, but you know, we can use a little bit of poetic license with the complementaries. I would say hers is more on the orange red side. And then the opposite is blue. So orange and blue work really well. The reason why we're choosing 2 opposites is because they will make a brown or gray when they're mixed with each other. And we're going to incorporate that into the design. So black is kind of our last resort when we just want to put in a few like really, really dark shadows. We want to kind of avoid black until we really have to use it. So the other thing you can do is green and red. They're opposite. So I would say find 2 colors that speak to you that are opposite. And they don't have to be, you know, pure green and pure red. This is green yellow. So this is more of a limey green. And this is more of a red purple. So you could, you know, go, you know, find the ones that speak to you. And this will be in the notes this week, this color wheel, if you don't have it from last time, of that painting or one I quickly doodled today. So I'm going to keep flicking between the painting and the sketch. So here's the sketch. I'm going to quickly screen share. So all I did with the thumbnail sketch is I identified the simple shapes. So when you do a sketch, you only want to spend a minute or 2 on it. It's the main thing is you want to create a a sketch that's the same proportions as your canvas. You want to identify the lines, and whatever subject you're choosing, you want to make sure you have a foreground, middle ground, and background to get a feeling of perspective. So you want to kind of be able to view the painting in 3 levels: foreground, middle ground, background. Then you want to focus on lights and darks. So I'm going to get my, I'm just going to get a black Sharpie. So when you're creating your thumbnail sketch, after you've put in your lines, you want to create yourself a little grid where 1 is white or the lightest. Okay, and 9 is black or the darkest part of your painting. And then you'll have a scale within the painting from light to dark. So the first thing I do on my thumbnail sketch is create myself a painting by numbers. So I'll say, okay, what is the lightest part of my painting? And I try and have it in 3 places. So I'm going to ask you to tell me, just describe to me, what are the 3 brightest spots you can see in this painting?
The peaks and the 2 peaks in the middle, and then the right at the ocean or water.
Kind of, yep. So let's make that as a painting by numbers. So I'm going to put 1, 1, 1, literally making myself a painting by numbers.
We haven't drawn the scene yet, though.
No, I'm not asking you to draw the scene. We're just
okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, right now we're just talking about this one. We're gonna all draw our own individual ones. We're just talking about this one. Sorry if I wasn't clear enough. We're just analyzing this one and having a chat about it as to where the lights and darks are, just to kind of help you for when you start. I'm gonna give you 10 minutes to draw your own in a minute. So which do you feel, that's the 3 lightest parts. What do you feel are the darkest parts of this painting? The number 9s.
On the right.
Yeah.
On the right midpoint.
The trees, yeah. So these are kind of trees. So I tend to number, this is just how I do it. I number all of my lights, but I actually shade in all my darks with a Sharpie. I just find it really helps my planning process. This is just how my brain works. Because I don't want to see the anything behind it. So I used to use a dark pencil, and I just really like doing Sharpie now. Okay, so yeah, so you're right. I have, in hindsight, now that I understand a little bit more about color placement, I like to group my colors in 3s. So I would have put 1 more dark, like number 9 in this painting if I was to do it again. At least 3s are an odd number. I feel like 2 doesn't read as well as I would have done it. So if I was to do this again, I would maybe put 1 more here, because then it's an odd number. But that's just my journey, because this was from when I was at art college, this painting. Okay, so I have my number 1s, I have my number 9. So now I start kind of filling in the middle. So what I want to do now is work my way through the scale. So I'll say, okay, where are my midtones? So if this is my midpoint, so this is kind of a 4.5, like that's my midpoint. So where would you say are my midtones? So my kind of, on a value scale of 4 or 5. So not the darkest, not the lightest, somewhere in the middle. Where would you say am I kind of?
the slopes, the yellows and a little bit of the mustard.
Yeah, yeah. So I would say this would probably be a 4. So I'm going to use my mouse. Can you see where my mouse is?
Yes.
Yeah. So I would
Yes.
say, yeah, there would be about a 4 or 5. This is probably a little bit more darker, but yeah, definitely here. I would say in this mid mountain is kind of my mid section a little bit, because purple's hard to keep bright. But definitely here is my mid tone. And then I would say going up the value scale, this would be maybe a 3, 4, and this would be a 2. So this is where I start kind of filling in my numbers. Okay, that's a 2, that's a 3. I feel like here is probably a 3, 4 or a 4. I didn't put in that shape. So that's like a 4. And then here would be, I don't know, maybe a 6, 7, maybe a 7. I feel like my water here is about a 3, 4. And then here I would say this is about an 8. Would you agree? Kind of here about an 8. So what helps, I'm gonna switch back to my main overhead camera now. I'm gonna stop sharing. Okay, so we are creating, so we've done our background color, we've merged 2 colors together, we've so that's toning, we've added white, which is tinting. What we're doing now is creating a shade darker, so a tiny bit less white. We're using a smaller brush, so I'm using a round, about a number 4 round. And we want to water down the paint, and remember to wipe, rinse, wipe. So whenever you're mixing your paint, after you've mixed it, you want to wipe your brush, rinse it, wipe it again, so you've only got paint on the tip, because otherwise it's hard to control. And you do want this to be quite watery paint, so not too thick. And we're going to take our thumbnail sketch and we're going to transfer it onto the canvas as best as we can. So I'm going to move my canvas down. Can you see my thumbnail sketch and the canvas?
Yes.
Is it lined up enough? Yeah.
Yep, it's good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is our goal today, to get this transferred across. Okay, so this is just a sketch. We're going to paint over the whole thing. It's just to establish where things are going to go. So I'm going to start with my horizon line. So this is just thin down paint.
Does it matter which color you use?
It doesn't really, because we're going to paint over it anyway, but I would recommend that it's not too dark.
Okay, thank you.
So we're just going to repeat what we did on the paper. So as best as you can, just figure out where your shapes are going to go. And it doesn't have to be exactly like a sketch if you want to make some changes.
And this is the number 4 round.
Yeah, or just a brush you have control over, where you can use it like a pencil,
Okay.
translate your design. So we're just roughly translating our sketch across. Sorry, I was muted. I was talking away there. I had no idea I was muted. It's when I hair dried my canvas. I think that's what it was. There's so many things to remember when you're presenting. It's
You're doing a great job, Julie.
Oh, thank you. Dean helped me present my kids' class yesterday, because we were teaching anime and he was so excited to be co-presenter. He just really enjoyed it. It just told his whole class, apparently he was going to tell his whole class today. And we recorded it, so he's going to share it. Like, I was a co-presenter. I think it's the closest thing kids can get to like being on TV, and they're like, whoa.
Mm.
You know, social media is the new version of TV. I hear Emmanuel lost a tooth today.
Yeah, it's wobbly. Did it come out?
I don't know. Yeah, I think Laura said this morning he lost his first tooth.
Oh.
So I've got to make him a tooth fairy bag because all of Dean's friends have made tooth fairy bags for.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, he showed me it was wiggling. It was really funny. He didn't want to eat.
Oh,
I'm like, yeah, you're gonna have to eat, kid.
I know, yeah.
I feel like I've made mistakes already. I'm using it. My outline is more orange than it is anything else, but oh well, I'm just going with it.
It doesn't matter. This is all going to
Okay.
be painted over. It really doesn't matter.
Okay,
Honestly, this is all going. This is not staying at all.
good. Okay.
It's just so we know where our shapes are going to go.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this has just taken me right back to college. My teacher was so strict about having thumbnail sketches. And when we were painting, she'd be like, where's your thumbnail sketch? And if we didn't have it, we'd have to like quickly rustle one up before she came back. But I understand why it is so useful, you know. I've been making these little shapes in my paintings for years, and I love how they get interpreted as different things, and there's no right or wrong. It can be anything you want it to be. It could be trees or rock formations or whatever you want it to be. It's kind of my little signature on a lot of my pieces, these funny little wiggly shapes. How's everybody doing? We've got about 20 minutes left. And I'll give you the choice of either working on this at home if you really want to, or we can finish this off next class. But I just want to get our lights and darks established today.
I'd like to finish it next week myself. I don't know what the others want.
Yeah.
Yes, I would like to finish it next week too.
Yeah. But if you want to work on it in your own time because you're really enjoying it, don't feel like you have to wait. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You have the option of playing with it. I've got to go shopping and buy more black paint. I'm on my last little dribble of black because I don't use it that often. How is everybody doing with this sketch? Are we ready for the next stage? I don't want to rush if anybody's not ready.
I'm not quite ready, but you can go ahead if
Yeah.
everyone else is.
Okay. So we're going to work on our number 9s. So that's why the process I follow transferring is the same process of doing the sketch. So hopefully you'll feel a little bit like this is familiar territory because you've already done it on the sketch. So I'm going to figure out where you can choose whatever size brush you want to use. I'm going to mix some of my, for me, it's purple. So whichever color is the color that you're going to use for your shadows. So I'm mixing purple with black. So my number 9s, not very much black, mind. And I'm just going to paint in my darkest areas. So this time I'm not using watered down paint. I'm using the paint in its purest form.
So for me, it would be blue with black.
Blue with black, whichever.
Okay.
So this is going to be your darkest areas. So
Yeah,
whichever you
okay.
have decided is going to be your
Yeah.
darkest color, whether it's kind of navy blue or.
Yeah, okay.
Let's say, hopefully this is going to feel familiar because you've already sketched it out like this. I feel like it's creating, muscle memory.
I get a bit mixed up with, do I need to make a new pile of mixing paint each time? And then, I don't know. I get a bit lost in that.
I have made a new little pile.
Mm-hmm.
What I do is I always put my base colors in one corner.
Yeah.
And then I'll work. So
Oh, okay.
I mean, my palette's always pretty messy because I use my palette for weeks. So it's got colors from other projects, but I put my yellow and purple in the corner here.
Yeah.
And then I'm using the rest of the palette to mix. But because my palettes, I paint every day. So I tend to use up stuff that's on from previous days.
Yeah.
So I'm putting in my darkest points. I'm following that. I'm going to put in my lightest points.
So my darkest could be just the primary blue.
If you want, yeah. I mean, on your sketch, what's your plan going to be? What is your darkest color going to be?
Yes, I didn't know if I should be adding orange to it to make it complementary, or if I can use the one pure color for the darkest.
It's up to you, whatever it's your design. So you're using Lauren Harris as an inspiration, but whichever, and you can always change it later. Just because I'm doing dark purple here, it might not all stay a flat dark purple. I might add more to it later. It's just kind of helping me at the moment establish my shadows and my highlights. So it doesn't have to be the color it's going to end up.
Okay, thank you.
It's just helping us figure out our plan. We're just translating our plan onto the canvas. We have lots more layers to go. So the whites are different. When I do the whites, I am actually going to put down pure white. The reason is, especially because I'm painting with yellow, a lot of colors like yellow needs an underpainting to block out what's behind. So I'm actually going to put pure white where I want my highlights to be, but it's not going to stay pure white. I am going to change it later. Does that make sense? It's like a base coat I'm going to put on. That's what my whites are going to be. I do love the freedom of just making up a design in my head and not having to resemble anything, because I do a few commissions where, you know, it has to look like a photograph or it has to resemble a place. It's nice just to be free and just make it up as I go. You know? So because we are going from dark to light, please make sure you have a very clean brush and clean water, or you'll get a muddy mess.
Okay.
So just because I'm applying white, it's not going to stay white. This is my undercoat of wherever I'm going to have my lightest part. So I'm establishing where my lightest points are going to go. So there's going to be a highlight at the where my water is. It's going to be a highlight on the peaks here. Hopefully that's showing up on the camera where the highlights are going. Jane, how are you doing translating this into your tree with your lights and darks?
I'm very slow. Can we add a bit of black?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I added black with my purple. Yeah, go for it. Definitely add black.
Yeah, because it's too green for the tree trunk.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. I'm very slow, but that's okay.
That's okay. There's no
Yeah.
rush. And that's what's nice about painting something over a couple of weeks, because you can work on it in your own time if you want to.
Right.
So my cloud, I just want the top part to be really bright. So I'm only putting the highlight on the very top part of my cloud.
Where's my
So think about when you're adding your white, think about your light source
Yeah.
and where the light is coming from. So the light in my picture is coming almost straight down. It's coming this way. So establishing your light source is quite important as well. That's coming down. But I find putting in these darks and lights kind of, you can really see it starting to take shape, you know.
Mhm. Does Dean take the bus, Julie?
He does, yeah, he loves the bus.
Ah.
Oh my goodness, just loves the bus. Although yesterday he did ask Ken to pick him up from school, just because he said some kids get picked up, you know, and he just,
Yeah.
so Ken surprised him and picked him up, and he was almost disappointed he couldn't get on the bus.
Oh.
He just loves the bus so much. It just makes him feel independent, you know.
Yeah.
He's got such a nice bus driver as well. Last year, well, because he only went to school for a few months last time, and before COVID. And last time he had a different person. They were both very, very nice, but one picking him up, one dropping him off. But this time he has the same driver. And his driver's so nice. He's kind of a younger guy. And he just looks a lot of fun, you know.
Yeah.
So this is what I wanted to get achieved with you today, is the thumbnail sketch, transferring it onto a canvas and doing all lights and darks. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this, put all of this into the notes and the stages of how we got here. And then next week, we're going to be filling in the spaces. We've made ourselves a little painting by numbers. So we're going to fill in the spaces. And I'm hoping to have a little bit of time at the end to give you a bit of theory on analogous colors so that Anita can dive in with her sunset the following week, because I know you're desperate to do that's, I know you've shown me that scene a few times now. I know you really want to do it. So we're gonna hopefully get this finished next week and touch on analogous colors. I am gonna put all of this in the notes, and I'm going to put some notes together on the theory behind analogous colors. So one little bit of homework for next week is to find an example of analogous colors in any form or medium you want. So it could be a magazine page, it could be some clothing, like, or a piece of material in your house, or a pillow, or a skirt, or a handbag, or anything that has an example of analogous colors. And so analogous colors are colors that sit next to each other on the color wheel. So for example, blue, purple, purple, red, they would be analogous colors because they're all next to each other on the color wheel. Or it could be yellow, lime green, green, blue. They're analogous colors. So but have some fun with it. Kind of look at materials, patterns, clothing, and just bring me one piece of something that you found a home that shows analogous colors.
So 4 on the sitting side by side on the color wheel.
Sitting side by side, it can be 3, 4, 5, it can be lots. Something you can hold up, so not a rug or something that's attached to something you can hold up to the camera, or if you can't hold it up, take a photograph of it. So yeah, an example of analogous colors. And I'm going to be showing you some sunsets that I've created in analogous colors. So it's colors that always work together because they're very close to each other on the color wheel. So yeah, I'm sure you've all got items of clothing that have analogous colors.